News, W5. Thousands of cars damaged on Canadian roads.
Everything that was damaged was replaced original.
But what's really going on in the body shop?
Honestly, it's a really, really good shop.
Well, this time, someone's watching.
We equipped the vehicles with covert cameras.
Kevin Newman investigates an undercover sting.
They left those decisions up to the tow truck driver.
Unnecessary work, missing parts, and inflated bills.
And I was shocked, absolutely shocked.
Where sometimes more damage is done after the accident.
I can't believe that would happen.
And in the end, everybody pays.
What you in effect have are fraudulent claims being subsidized by honest customers.
And with a string of highly rated bistros,
people want to believe that they only go to restaurants because the food's good.
She's turned a few heads.
She's very smart. She's as good as any man in the business.
And ruffled a few feathers.
I deserve to be judged for my work.
Sandy Ronaldo, with the career of outspoken restaurateur Jen Ag.
Did you set out to build an empire?
100%.
Taking on the male-dominated world of restaurant culture.
I always want to win. You know, everything, all the time, win.
With a vengeance.
She'll go after you. She'll flambe you, you know, tableside.
And wears her reputation with pride.
So are you a bitch?
Like, no, no, that's kind of the point.
Here is Kevin Newman.
Hello, and thanks for joining us. On this edition of W5, we're revealing the exclusive results of an elaborate undercover investigation that wasn't mounted by police or journalists. It was financed and executed by one of Canada's leading insurance companies to provide an unprecedented view of what sometimes goes on inside unregulated auto body shops. And what the cameras reveal helps explain why your car insurance rates keep rising. So this is never a good day when a roadside accident leaves you in the hands of people that you've never met, tow truck drivers and auto repair shops. How do you know whether you're being ripped off? Well, chances are you don't, but you're not alone. Even one of Canada's largest insurance companies can't always tell who's done an honest job. So, Aviva decided to find out. Using hidden cameras and private eyes portraying customers, they've captured what's going on when no one's looking to see what's being repaired or not. It was an elaborate, covert investigation. And here's how it worked. First step, take undamaged cars and drive them into one another. So this is the warehouse here?
Yeah.
That smashing start was just the beginning of what Aviva fraud investigators Paul Miller and Doug Dunstan helped design. They're both former Toronto cops, so they know something about setting up covert investigations that will stand up to scrutiny.
Aviva took the bold step of allowing us to purchase a number of vehicles, and we equipped the vehicles with covert cameras that would record video.
Well, this is one of them, right?
Yes, it is. We would manufacture damage on these vehicles, whether it be a single vehicle accident or a two-car collision, by pushing the cars together so that it would create the impression that they had been involved in a motor vehicle accident.
So you basically ran these into one another?
That was just to create very low impact, minimal damage.
The kind of damage you could chart pretty easily.
Yes.
After the cars were damaged, every dent, scratch, and busted light were documented and videotaped.
Cars would be all photographed and pictures taken before the damage was done, and then we would damage them. And then once they are damaged, they would be basically torn apart to see what's wrong and what has been damaged in interior and exterior.
Then an experienced independent appraiser and a forensic engineer were brought in to thoroughly examine each car and record exactly what needed to be repaired or replaced, and then estimate how much it should cost.
Damages are into the fender. That needs to be replaced. There's a slight impact on the right front wheel.
To watch what happened to the damage on places that they couldn't see, each vehicle was rigged with hidden cameras, small enough so that no one would spot them.
Our main objective was to stay objective in this project and put the cars out into the field and kind of let the cameras roll, as it were, and see what results we ended up with.
So here's what happened next. Undercover private investigators hired by Aviva took those pre-damaged vehicles and drove them out to random locations on busy highways. Then they pulled their vehicles over, parked them, and waited for whichever tow truck driver would show up. Now, it's important to remember that all of this was left to chance. They also didn't choose which repair shop their cars were towed to. They left those decisions up to the tow truck driver. So over a year, with 10 bait cars left by the roadside around Toronto, here's what the hidden cameras revealed.
We have a shop and we have rental at our facility. We have a big shop.
Random tow truck drivers pitching the best place to tow the car.
Honestly, it's a really, really good shop. We give you a lifetime warranty on everything.
This shop is preferred by Ford, meaning everything is going to go back on the car is original. I don't deal with any insurance repair shops because they're butchers.
Then those cars were taken to different repair shops. With the cameras secretly recording, repairs were made and behavior watched.
Everything that was damaged was replaced original, brand new, because we're a certified Toyota dealer.
And then once the repairs were done and the cars picked up, Aviva's independent experts tore the cars apart again, comparing what they knew needed to be fixed or replaced with what work had actually been done and invoiced for. And what they discovered is an eye-opener. Almost every single shop overcharged for repairs, padding bills by hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars. In many instances, parts were either not replaced or properly repaired, but charged for anyway. For example, this car taken to Car Aid. The body shop billed more than $200 to replace a grille assembly that wasn't damaged, and then didn't even bother to replace it. And that was just one of many discrepancies. W5 contacted Car Aid requesting an explanation, and they replied with a long legal letter denying any wrongdoing and blaming the appraiser for authorizing unnecessary repairs. Another shop, Falcon Auto Center, charged $389.56 to replace the left headlamp on a Mazda, but it was neither replaced nor repaired. Falcon told us that wasn't possible and was not interested in responding further. In all, dozens of parts, bumpers, headlights, engine covers, hood latches, wheel hubs, axle bearings that weren't damaged were invoiced as being repaired or replaced. At the Enzo Body Shop, Aviva claims it was overcharged by almost $12,000. Despite agreeing to respond, Enzo too did not provide any explanation for the discrepancy. So why go to such lengths to test the honesty of repair shops? Well, at Aviva headquarters, they were watching the cost of repairs at some auto body shops skyrocket in recent years, and they wanted to know why.
So, Ron, how many of these body shops do we insure?
Christopher Lang runs Aviva's fraud management operations. Has any insurance company, to your knowledge, ever tried to trick out a bunch of cars and put them on the highway and watch what happens?
To our knowledge, no.
So you even gave this an undercover name.
Oh, yes.
What'd you call it?
Project Bumper.
How important was it for you that whatever you did could potentially stand up in a court of law?
Oh, extremely important. And that's the way we conduct all of our investigations.
Aviva claims that from the 10 cars used in the sting, invoices were inflated by more than $33,000. But the hidden cameras revealed something even more disturbing. This Ford Fusion was towed to the McLaren Collision Center in Mississauga. Of course, the damage to it had already been appraised by Aviva's experts, but the body shop didn't know that. So check this out. The video captures a worker taking what appears to be some kind of bar and smashing the hood panel. But here's the thing. There was no damage here, nothing that needed to be fixed, according to Aviva. But McLaren's billed the insurance company $515.20 to repair that hood panel. Here, he takes a hammer and appears to be creating additional damage to the right front corner of the car, where again, Aviva says there was no initial damage. And there were many more questionable repairs for just this one car. Aviva's inspectors claimed they were charged almost $2,500 more than necessary. So, W5 wanted to ask McLaren's for an interview and share the evidence. The sign has been recently taken off the building, but two companies are listed at this address, McLaren Collision and Mississauga Automotive Collision. Provincial business documents show that various members of the Warda family are associated with these repair shops. But when we showed up wearing a hidden camera to deliver our interview request, we were told there was no one by the name of Warda.
Okay, so there's no one here with the name of Warda. So no one for the McLaren is under the name of Warda.
Is there somebody else with McLaren that we might be able to talk to?
I don't believe so.
No one by the name of Warda. But this recent surveillance video shows Roni Warda and his son Fatty Warda going in and out of that shop. So after several attempts to contact McLaren's, we went back, this time with our camera crew, only to find the door locked in the middle of the day during business hours. There's people in there. They just saw us and then went behind that door there, back into the garage. We spotted someone outside locking up the gates to the collision center. Excuse me, sir, do you work here that I can ask? I'm trying to deliver a letter. Is this office open right now? Is there someone inside that we can talk to, sir? Would you be Mr. Warda? And then, after we went back to the street, McLaren's called the cops. How you doing?
Okay.
I'm Kevin Newman with CTV News Network.
So we got the call today that they were over here.
Right.
They didn't understand why you were there with cameras, that sort of stuff.
We're trying to interview the owner of the property because there's a story that we're working on currently.
Yeah.
And we have made 3 attempts to deliver a letter to request a formal interview.
Okay.
So today we thought we'd come and see whether we could do that.
Okay.
The door was locked. We didn't try to gain entry. I slipped another request, a 4th one, underneath the door, and then somebody came out and we left the property right away. Nobody told us to leave.
Awesome. I have no issue with that. But they did advise me there, the manager of the front office, they would not like you guys to attend the property.
Okay.
So at this point, I have to advise you that under Trespass of Property Act, you're no longer allowed to attend. Okay?
Fair.
Good luck with trying to get a hold of the gentleman you're trying to interview, but.
Yeah.
Widespread auto repair deception.
You didn't expect that many.
Certainly not.
W5 looks for answers.
Here, there's someone in your auto body shop who seems to be taking a hammer and a chisel to it.
When W5 continues.
Ten undercover cars, deliberately damaged, rigged with hidden cameras, then towed to random auto body shops for repair. And when the invoices came in, the insurance company was shocked to discover dishonest billing for 9 out of the 10 cars. Christopher Lang oversees Aviva's fraud management department. What was your expectation of how many might be picked up by a fraud?
In my wildest dreams, I probably would have thought, perhaps, 1/3, 1/4, something to that effect. For 9 out of 10 to come back with one or multiple elements of fraud was obviously extremely concerning and alarming.
9 out of 10?
Correct.
90% of the cars that you put out there had some sort of fraud.
I was floored.
Because you didn't expect that many.
Certainly not.
Investigator Doug Dunstan was also surprised.
I was afraid that we wouldn't get a hook. I honestly thought there can't be that many people out there that are ripping insureds off and insurance companies in the long run. And I was shocked, absolutely shocked.
In total, Aviva paid the body shops a little more than $58,000 for all the repairs. And it calculates that just over half of those charges were not justified. So if people think that this is a victimless crime, it really isn't.
No, not at all.
Aviva executive Gord Rasbach was the driving force behind the undercover sting. And he says this investigation exposes an industry where cheating consumers is part of the game.
I don't consider myself a cynic. I consider myself a realist, and this thing was more telling than even I thought.
So you were surprised at how often some of these auto body shops are jacking up their bills?
Yes, I was. And also what I was really surprised at was the extent of fraud. And when you're deliberately damaging a vehicle for your own profit, or when you're adding parts that have absolutely nothing to do with the repair, or when you're saying you towed a vehicle and you never towed a vehicle, that's the criminal side of it.
So do you think you found just the tip of the iceberg or the whole iceberg?
No, I think we found a good chunk of the iceberg.
9 out of 10.
9 out of 10.
That's incredible.
It is. I thought so.
It wasn't planned, but 2 of the 10 bait cars in Project Bumper were towed to McLaren's. Remember the shop that locked us out and then called the police in order to not get us back? Well, Aviva claims that more than $10,000 worth of repairs on these invoices are fraudulent. 2 other undercover vehicles, a Lexus and a Chrysler, ended up here at Lyons Auto Body Shop in Mississauga. And again, the covert video tells the tale. This worker takes what appears to be a hammer and some kind of object to the right front side of a Lexus. But according to Aviva, there was nothing here that needed to be fixed. It alleges that this is deliberate damage to run up the bill. Lyons charged Aviva more than $800 to replace that right headlamp assembly, but the investigators found they didn't replace it. They just fixed the part they damaged. On this Chrysler, the video shows a worker pounding on the left front fender with a hammer and a piece of wood. Lyons got paid to replace that fender, but Aviva says it was repaired instead. For both cars, Aviva calculates Lyons overcharged by more than $3,800. Now, the owner, John Lyons, agreed to speak to W5 if we showed him some of Aviva's evidence. So off camera, we showed him some of Aviva's video, the invoices, the expert documentation, and then he agreed to respond. So the investigator said that this car in particular, this was the Lexus, wasn't damaged at all, and yet here there's someone in your auto body shop who seems to be taking a hammer and a chisel to it.
That doesn't make sense to me. How could there be no damage to it?
What's your reaction to it?
My reaction to it looks like somebody's working on the car.
But remember the video. Aviva says there was no damage here that needed to be repaired. No reason to be taking a hammer to it. There was no damage to that right headlight assembly because someone inspected this before it came in. And then your shop said it replaced it, charged $800 to replace it on the invoice, but then in fact it was just repaired and it was not replaced.
I can't believe that. I'll look into it. I can't believe that would happen.
You're saying this never happens in your shop, to your knowledge?
Never.
You've never had a complaint by an insurance company or a customer about this kind of behavior?
I don't tolerate damaging cars, and I am going to take the time to show you what I've got in place so this doesn't happen, okay?
Do you ever tell a customer that you've replaced a part when in fact you've just repaired it?
No, we're straight up with the customers.
Again, remember the video of the second car. Aviva says the left front fender was repaired, but Lyons got paid to replace it. Lyons then showed us some of the measures he's taken to keep an eye on workers.
And this is what I look at all the time.
A lot of cameras watching the shop floor. I see the cameras. They're all over the place.
It keeps everybody honest. It keeps everybody honest.
Well, Aviva Insurance disputes that. Despite the video and the experts, Lyons denies being aware of any fraudulent activity in his shop. But he admits there is a problem in the industry.
You know there's a problem. You've already done, you're doing your investigation. There's a huge problem, and you know it. And your show's gonna expose it.
So if it is being done here, you're gonna be pretty disappointed.
I'm gonna be completely disappointed. I'm gonna be off the rails disappointed.
So, if Aviva was overcharged for 9 out of 10 cars, which shop passed Aviva's test? Well, this CarStar collision shop. The franchise owner, Adrian Vignaduzzo, didn't know about the covert investigation until Aviva told him that W5 was doing a story.
Yeah, I was shocked that we were part of that investigation with Aviva, and I'm glad that they did.
We've heard from some of the independent shops that, this is a tough industry. You have no idea just how hard it is to do things the right way in this industry. Do you find it hard?
No, it's actually easier to do it the right way the first time than to do it wrong and then trying to fix something that's wrong.
CarStar is the country's largest collision repair company with more than 500 shops across North America.
We're dealing with people's cars here.
The president of CarStar, Michael Macaluso, says because it's a franchise, they audit their shops regularly. So are those surprise audits? Because you know what happens. You know the guy from head office is going to be there on a Tuesday.
In our situation within CarStar, absolutely surprise audits, as well as from the insurance company side.
So if you run across a franchisee that isn't quite up to your own expectations and your own standards, what do? You pull their franchise?
Absolutely.
CarStar voluntarily conducts audits to ensure quality control. There's no government or industry agency that requires it.
No, they wouldn't have a clue.
And Aviva's Gord Rasbeck says insurance companies compound the problem by not keeping track of bad actors.
Half the problem is the insurance company don't even count. They don't even count. They don't even record. They don't even tell each other when these things happen. So it's almost a Groundhog Day effect. You get up every day and you start all over again dealing with each shop on a claim-by-claim basis instead of trying to amass all of the information and make sure that the people who are doing this don't get to do it from one company to another.
So government has a role here in making the insurance companies exchange the information that they keep to themselves, right?
Absolutely. The government has that role to protect all the consumers out there. The insurance companies don't get their act together.
What you're telling me then is that the insurance companies themselves have left this open field for bad guys to take advantage of.
Yeah, not consciously, but by default, that's exactly what's happened. The insurers should be made that when they find out about a criminal element to report it.
So, adding up all the invoices in its undercover sting, Aviva says it overpaid the auto shops by 57%. Now, if that holds true across the industry, the potential fraud is staggering. Aviva calculates it would add up to $547 million a year just in Ontario. That's $2 billion a year across the country. $1 billion.
$1 billion.
A year?
A year.
That's a lot of money.
Yes, it is.
If you were to scrape that out and have a completely honest and upfront industry, what would that mean for people's insurance rates, let's say in Ontario?
Well, it would mean a dramatic decrease.
People would be paying a lot less.
Yes, they would.
Well, that would certainly be good news for Ontario's 3 million drivers who pay the highest premiums in the country. Chris Lang points out that at the end of the day, everyone who buys car insurance is a victim.
We have in some of our video interactions, tow truck drivers and body shop employees telling our drivers, well, what's the difference? It's only the insurance company's money. And that's simply not true. It's consumers who pay for insurance, not insurance companies. And as the cost of claims rise, and if that cost of claims is again exacerbated or driven in large part by fraud, what you in effect have are fraudulent claims being subsidized by honest customers and consumers, and that's simply not right.
Aviva's undercover experiment seems to be a timely reminder of that old adage about how to measure integrity. It's not what you do when people are watching, it's what you do when you think no one's looking. So an investigation this detailed requires a lot of paperwork, and it's available to you right now on our website for each body shop, and also includes their response to what Aviva discovered. Here's what's straight ahead.
Brash, bold, and difficult.
Were you an easy kid to raise?
What do you think?
Is the recipe for success.
She's brilliant at what she does.
When W5 continues.